So we're going to call the meeting to order. This is the Lookingglass Rural Fire District, Roseburg, Oregon, December 13th meeting. And we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get more money. Yeah, but I had to
so
wait.
I had
to wait a couple of weeks to get the money.
I'm going to open us up with a prayer, and then we'll do roll call. Dear Heavenly Father, please bring us together today and guide us. Give us all of your blessings, and give us the community your blessings to continue to thrive and do well. And watch over those that are trying to fight for freedom and justice in the world. Bring us peace, love, and harmony for your birthday in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, roll call. Paul Reardon here. Mark Bennett here. Bill Steins here. Rob Icola here. David Smith is out. Steve Rhodes here. Okay. We're going to add anything to the monthly agenda, or we'll just roll forward? Any additions?
One thing I forgot to put on the same, I could talk about in my time, is a chaplain, fire department chaplain we got. So anyway, we can talk about that during.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the November 8 minutes?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Approve minutes for November 8. So we're on to financial report.
Let me see what we got here.
Got 6 cents in interest.
We deposited a total of $13,506.13. I transferred some money from the money market account over to the checking account. I guess we wrote a total of $12,622.93. Our checking balance is $12,990, and our money market is $176,777.21. And our public checking is $181.21. I believe that's our bond checking account, isn't it?
Yeah. This is November 30th, by the way. Since this time, actually it was, since this time our tax checks started coming in. So we put in over $50,000 in tax money, but it's not reflected in this one.
I was going to say, I remember putting more
we
that over that.
We put almost $60,000 in actually the last couple of days.
So we'll have more than that in our money market account.
Yes.
I know the last check was, what, about $14,000? I put in my checking account.
Yeah. And we got 49 last week, and we got another 8 coming in the mail right now.
All right. So we need a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pay the bills. Since David's not here, are you going to do a communications report?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. We've been running about 1,100. I think there's 1,139 views this month. So we had our Safer grant employment opportunity posted, and we were getting a lot of hits on that from people interested in that around the state. But anyway, it's been averaging over 1,100 every week.
Okay, so what about public comments? Does the public have a comment? No public comments.
We're just glad you're here.
Yeah, we're glad you're always here. We love your support.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it without you.
We'll just go home.
Our glorious public. So next up would be Chief's report.
November was a little slower finally. We had 18 calls. It seemed like all of them were between 1 and 5 in the morning though, for some reason. I'm not sure. But we had a couple of structure responses. We had one in our area up on Coos Bay Wagon Road, a little bit up here. They had a real nice shop, and they got two 2-story, and there's apartments built in for an aunt and her daughter. And Mark might appreciate this, but they had one of their main columns was sitting on the ground and rotted out, and the guy was trying to cut it out with a saw, and the saw hit the concrete, and so over a period of 2 or 3 days, he had a smoldering fire, and it eventually broke out and got up in the walls. But we got it pretty fast. It was good. So the LPG prop for training, LPG prop is finished, and we've done some test fires on it. Doing a lot more PPE and SCBA training on our new people. OSHA training. We had 5 firefighters in emergency medical responder training at 10 Mile, and they're all finished, and they're just doing the state training. That was 8 Saturdays, 60-hour course, and they all made it. It was pretty amazing. Usually that doesn't happen. I sent our Captain Fox went up to DPSST. They had a training round table in Sun River. There was no tuition or anything for it, but we just had to pay for the lodging, so he went up there. And it was real good. And the second day was a new state program for critical incident stress debriefing and PTSD and all that stuff. So he's brought that back to us, and we'll probably be doing some training with that. And he also went up and was an evaluator for North Douglas for their hiring process for the SAFER grant that they got. So I'm trying to develop him a little bit, so he's working on it. We still got 2 Explorers, and they're still hanging around. Equipment-wise, they're doing good. They're getting older every day. They actually have driver's licenses now and all that kind of stuff. No mechanical issues this month. We're going to be setting up service for 30 and 31 in the water tender. We got the final agreement for the water tender and signed it. We had to get insurance verification from SDA. We did that, and we sent our logo in an SVG format to the state so they can put it on the doors. And it's going to be early 2024, maybe January, February, I think. It's valued at $324,000. Just a little talk about that, grants and free things. So what it's done is our insurance, we just got our prospective insurance bill for next month, and next year, it's up probably $6,000 or so, because we have a new $324,000 water tender free. And then also this seismic grant, the gift that never stops giving, construction insurance, blah, 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 stuff that's not covered by the grant itself is adding up. And then they're reappraising our building because of the improvements that are going to be happening. I have to negotiate with them a little about that. I'll talk about that.
You mean we're gonna have to pay for it before we can even get it?
Well,
The way the county's going, we might not, the way the county's going, we might not get it done.
we're not getting the bill till after January 1st, so we'll see what happens. But let's see, inventory, new turnouts came in, the ones that we had fitted for the VFA grant, and then Tyler Juice has been working on inventories on the units on the equipment. We had a pipe break underground out here by the wash rack, and I was going to get an excavator and have professional plumbers stuff come in. And Tyler and Justin went at it with a shovel. It was down about 3 feet, 1.5 pipe out there, and rusted out and rotten. And we got it fixed. We actually capped it. And, we actually did it for about $50 plus 8 hours of meeting. So anyway, it saved us a little money. Our water bill was up a little bit though, Matt, because when it went, we had a geyser out there, man. It was going.
I think I remember what day that happened, because the water pressure in my house dropped, and I was calling the water company going, hey, we got a leak somewhere.
Let's see, so we got an amended contract for the seismic grant. I gave you guys, this is like the CMP, I think, which is the final, the contractor, the construction contractor put together all of his costs. They came in about $200,000 under the budget. So there's a contingency there, which may be getting used because they're still fighting with Douglas County on the building permit because of the state law with ADA requirements and stuff. They're having to change some plans around and stuff for ADA. We are going to have an ADA sign outside with an ADA aisle marked to our front door and an ADA parking place. But I don't still trying to figure it out.
But, you know, if we're under budget, why don't they do something to aesthetically improve the look of the
Well,
place? I mean, right now we're
It has to
spending
be
millions of dollars.
it has to be a
And
retrofit.
all we're getting is a new coat of paint.
We're getting indoors and a roof, basically. And
Yeah,
so-
but I mean,
You're right.
It still looks like
But-
something that was designed in Russia.
But it's, it has to be seismic, it's what the state will pay for, I guess.
Well,
I know,
too bad.
I-
mean, 'cause they sold us this bill of goods and sold us
Yeah.
all these great properties that have been really
With
improved.
a nice peak roof
Yeah,
and all that.
peak roof and all the entryways and stuff. We still just got a box
I
designed.
could tell you, as an ex-builder, I could tear this building down and put a new one up for $1.8 million. It'd look twice as nice and twice as beautiful and be seismic compliant. It seems a little
And
egregious.
it's not, yeah,
Yeah,
It's
so
very
this isn't a reconstruction, this is a retrofit.
Yeah,
And
I know.
and the state says that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and they just want to make it look just as crappy as it is
You're right.
now.
We got a public records request from a Portland law firm concerning our contracts with Vetus and ZCS. I couldn't figure out, the lawyers wouldn't say who it was that wanted the request, but we kind of think, well, we have our suspicions, but it may have been one of the other bidding companies. It was kind of weird, and it never happened before with Vitus and ZCS, so I talked to our lawyer. It ended up costing us $500 as usual for a phone call, and she took it over and dealt with the lawyers up there. I provided the copies of contracts that we had to do. There's some stuff we don't have to disclose the state's money transfers and all that stuff, so we didn't, and I think it's over with right now. They got what they wanted. It's just they want to see the contracts. We're working on the final report for the wildland firefighter grant. It's due in about 3 days. We had minimal fire activity in our area. It's a pretty good summer. The fires we did have, they got on pretty fast. We had 2 or 3 that we got on fast, and it worked. And then also the Taiyi Ridge fires, we used that money. We actually sent a crew of 4 out there. They were out there the first day and a half as a mutual aid unit, and then they were released when the other stuff came from around the state. Met with their bookkeeping about employee costs and payroll, and they're going to be handling it for us. I also met with another lady down in Winston that kind of, and used her as an advisor before, because Wheeler couldn't meet with me. I got up to about the middle of September, or November, and I was thinking, I might just back out of this thing and give them the money back, because I couldn't get a decent reply on if the money we have, we can actually pay somebody a living wage to do what we're doing, you know? We have $72,000, but like 35% of that, they're telling me like 35% that's the cost of an employee.
Yeah, taxes and all that.
So, anyway, we got it all straightened out, and we're gonna be okay. Robert Wheeler assures me we're gonna be okay, and we actually have a little bit of a buffer, and he said that you either use that as a bonus or pick it up. We had built in a 3% cost of living raise each year, so anyway, it looks like we have a buffer, and so we won't be pulling out of any other accounts. Let's see, what else did I say about that? Let's see, so we have to have a standard operating procedure on hiring employees and what our payroll policies are, like what paydays are, what benefits we offer, all that, because we've never had a full-time employee before, so on FEMA, we have to have an SOP, so we're working on that. We created job descriptions, applications, evaluation, interview stuff. It's all online, and the job was advertised. The application, we went out before Thanksgiving, and applications are due December 8th, and we have an interview and assessment process tomorrow night at 5 o'clock at the Grange. We only have one qualified applicant, so we're going to go through the process because we have to, but. One that we made the job requirements. I don't even qualify for it. I don't think, because this person's not going to be training and retention and recruitment, but they're going to be here 8 hours a day. So we want them to be EMT. We want them to be firefighters. They're going to be evaluating volunteers on calls and stuff. So they need to be an officer. officer pretty much and everything else, so, and we put a lot of requirements in there, so. We got a person that's gonna do a really good job at it, and are familiar with our department. We'll see how they do on the, there's no guarantee yet, because they haven't gone through the interviews and stuff, but we'll see. So we're shooting for January 8th as their first day working, if they accept the job and quit their other job. So SDA's insurance, I'm going to be working on it with them because the initial quote's way high, and for example, the course of construction contract, the additional costs and stuff, we don't have any construction going on, and they started that in the fall. So like, we shouldn't be paying on that until they start doing construction. You know what I'm saying? So it's only 6 months, not a whole year. And if they're going to hit us for appraising our building at higher, it's not worth that until the construction's done, you know. And if you put, we're still debating that, but if you put $2 million worth of construction into a building, that doesn't mean that the building is appraised at $2 million plus what it is right now, because it's still, it's not going to be, it's going to, I think we're appraised at 600 and some thousand right now with our property and stuff. It's not going to be 2,600,000 just because they put new doors on the roof.
No.
So I got some questions on what the heck they're doing. The insurance, by the way, they usually have a 5% rate lock guarantee for longevity, and that was suspended this year because insurance costs with everybody is through the roof this year. That's kind of crazy. So looks like our workman's comp is going to hold, but the insurance and the liability and stuff is going up. I think they were saying 15% or something.
That's changed once you have a full-time workman's comp. 'Cause
Anyway.
it goes up dollars.
Huh?
When you do your workman's comp, it goes up dollars,
Yeah.
so that probably changed.
So that happened too because of our payroll for our, well, I have that, the workman's comp is budgeted into the grant, so, and also our payroll for it, so we won't have, that shouldn't have to come out of our reserve or anything. Let's see, new dispatch and paging system, we talked about last month. It's truly 20 years going backwards, but it's up and running, and it's been kind of crazy. We're going to be paying an increased cost of about $1,000 a year for the computer-aided dispatch side of it. Everybody had to join in on that to get this system. I'm not sure who. We're still trying to figure out who benefited from this. I think the sheriff's department did somehow, since they are the dispatch. The fire departments did not benefit from this at all, but I don't know where it's going to go from here. They've had all kinds of issues with stuff, wrong departments being dispatched. We've had calls where we don't get dispatched, or we're using this active 911 on our cell phones. They're not relaying that over to them, and then we only have a limited amount of pagers. We're going to have to pony up some money to buy some more pagers. They only gave us 5 for our whole station. The county did, and when they did this system, our old pagers didn't work anymore. So now we have 20 pagers that don't work. So it's just a
Bad roll.
We had fire department representatives on there, and nobody knows what happened. Something happened with the sheriff's department, we don't know, and the county. I'm requesting that District 2 has formed an authority called the Central Douglas Fire Authority, and they're merging with Winston-Dillard, and that's going to take place July 1st. They're looking at some other departments around. One of them they're looking at is ours, and they're looking at Wyatt, and they're looking at Sutherland. They're trying to set up a large district, for economies of scale, having one chief. Everybody has the same units, everybody has the same this. I don't know how it's going to work, as they haven't absorbed any volunteer departments now, so I don't know. Some of our concerns with our people is, would we maintain our identity of being a Lookingglass volunteer fire department, but part of their authority? Tax rate, their tax rate's 6 times higher than our tax rate. So I just had some informal conversations with them. We were talking about some mapping and annexations going on, and they strategically they would like to have this department because it joins Melrose and Winston, and then working back towards.
Does that mean we have to repaint all our trucks and everything to match everybody?
Well, I don't know what it means, so, because they haven't done a volunteer department yet. And I don't know if officially the Winston Dillard one is July 1st, so I don't know if Winston Dillard's name is gonna come off that big fire station they got down there. So those are all things we don't know. So I'm inviting them, I offered him to come out either January or February board meeting and just give us a short spiel on what they're doing, what benefit it would be to us, what liabilities it would be to us. A couple of the benefits right off the bat is that they have paid cheap, and they have administrative services, they have bookkeepers, they have human resources, they got all that kind of stuff, you know. So that what they said is they would take, the plan would be to take our tax revenue, they would absorb our grants, and then administer us, you know. And we would be in this group where, through economies of scale, you know, they could spread, because I said, we're a liability to you guys. We only bring in $85,000 a year. How are you gonna,
Yeah.
well, why do you want us for? And how's that all gonna work? So they said that they would hit just some informal stuff. They would absorb us, spread that out over the whole department, hopefully work to get an engine here, which would be nice. I know I was a part of a big fire authority down in Southern California, and when we took over other departments or absorbed them, and their tax rates weren't the same, they would Y-rate them, we called it, but they would eventually kind of start working up towards the same tax rate, because nobody would vote to
Raise
triple or
taxes.
quadruple or whatever your taxes
No,
are.
our constituents are gonna go for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that Liberty Mutual, commercial.
Yeah.
Guy walks out on the stage and the baby grand piano's gonna fall on his head and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
be replaced. That's what it sounds like it's happening.
You're replacing me?
I think that the only
Liberty, Liberty.
there's some benefits to it, and I just kind of said this general a few times, but I don't think we're sustainable at our tax rate anymore. When you start talking about, you know, the insurance just being $16,000 by itself, and then the audit thing. So that was another the gift that never kids get. The audit, because of our grants and stuff, we're getting. So we're getting free equipment, but the quotes on the audits are getting are $20,000. So like half of our revenue is going to audit and insurance. You know,
It sounds
Now you're
like
talking
it-
about fuel.
So are they gonna fire you?
Huh?
They can't fire you, you're a volunteer.
No, but I don't mind walking right out that door and closing it behind me. We're gonna have a fire chief here, and they're gonna do,
But it sounds like we're
and they're gonna
being,
do all the paperwork. I
It sounds
don't wanna lose our identity, I'm not gonna.
It sounds like we have a baby grand piano hanging over our heads.
yeah, it sounds like we're being strong-armed
Yeah.
into raising taxes. If there's some greedy, mucky person out there that's trying to force us into this,
Yeah, I say.
you know,
So
we're stuck.
That's not true.
Well, it feels that way.
Yeah.
I'd see the downside is gonna be economies of scale. When you look at an $85,000 tax base, it can't support this. If it isn't for the grants, you guys know, look at our bottom line. We couldn't run up, look at these costs. SBAO, I mean, everything is through the roof.
And in the past, anytime you tried to put through anything to raise the tax base
Yeah.
out here,
They deny
everybody
it.
says no.
But that's not uncommon, everybody's gonna do that, so there's no bond levies, there's no way, so the option really is, unless we find some type of transitional process that will take care of this, there won't be fire protection out here. I mean.
No, and then my insurance will get canceled.
Yeah, so I mean, some of this just boils down to is it's just natural attrition. But, I mean, there again, obviously we can work for our constituents and negotiate probably a more favorable situation just because we don't have to have it. And part of it is, I mean, Steve, thanks to you, we are well funded. This will be an operable station that has, not only seismic capacity, but emergency capacity and everything else. May not look good.
Oh, it'll have paint on it. It'll have paint on it. It'll have paint on it.
So, So I just, they're interested, and they're trying to form a larger department instead of having a whole bunch of small departments all over the county.
Yeah.
And I just gonna ask them, hey, come out and tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, and the efficiencies may be a little bit better. I mean, even though their tax base is higher, you know, there are efficiencies by expanding districts and being able to do crossover instead of having independence and having gaps in service. So, you know, there may be some advantages. So I think we definitely have to listen and look at it because.
Well, the other thing is that I think some of our grants along the way, we've joined them in their grant funding because there's more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually, that's a benefit to them too, because when they do a regional grant and they use volunteer fire departments as part of that grant, they have a better chance of getting the grant.
Yeah.
And so that's we're in their favor before and our favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think what are their tax rates going on? You know, our place out here doesn't hold a candle to like the place in that Callahan View at $2.5 million, you know,
Yeah.
for sale. I mean,
So it's,
The Green District over here, I know I have family that live there, and their biggest complaint is the tax basis is one of the highest in the county.
it's $3.16 per thousand for a
Right.
fire. When you're in Roseburg, it's 8 something, but that's combined with sheriff's also. And then
And what is it here?
Winston, 50 cents.
50
per
cents.
thousand. And then in Winston, it's $4.59 or something. It's one of the highest
It is.
fire taxes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and then Green area somehow has a bunch of Roseburg's taxes in on it too. And so, like, they're always pushing up against that limit, the $10 limit for a combination of all
Mhm.
taxes. Because we have, what, $1.23 per thousand, I think, for the county taxes out here, plus us. And that's about it. We have
Yeah.
some-
$1.07.
We're sitting in one of the lowest tax bases in the area.
Well, we'll just want to protect against that. I mean, and obviously we can address that concern, you know, how they're gonna tackle the funding. But you know, the thing is though, Steve, you know, I look at it, you know, I was even thinking as I was driving here, what happens if something happens to you and at some point you are gonna want to step down? It's like, what will happen? Because I mean, you've been quite active as far as getting us extra funding, and I don't think anybody else has the time nor the drive to be able
Or
to.
the knowledge.
For the knowledge.
I think that Lisa, Steve's wife, wants to step in and.
Yeah. So like right now, we got this safer grant, so about 250,000 of that is one employee for 3 years. So you're talking 75 grand a year or something. So that's basically our tax.
That's our tax base.
base. So that's 50 cents per thousand. And then if we've been pretty lucky on units, but we were living off the money that from the previous levy way back 10 years, 15 years ago. And so we got this tender, but we're looking around at units now. So the engines now are $600,000 to $800,000 now.
Didn't we have a big fight a few years ago about trying to raise the taxes out here?
Yeah, so I'm saying, okay, so then, at one time, we had, doing a 25-year plan, we were figuring about if we would have went to $1.05 or $1.10 per thousand, doubled our tax rate, we could have put money away to be able to start saving up for engines, or a new engine every 10 years or 5 years or whatever. So, it's really easy to say, okay, 50 cents raises 80,000 bucks. So if I need an employee, it's going to be another 50 cents. If I need 2 firefighters, it's going to be another 50 cents. It's going to be, you know, you can lay that out.
Yeah, if you're gonna have somebody around the clock, so you're talking $1.50 minimum,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. So
that would triple our
Anyway.
tax rate just to have 24-hour, one person.
And it has
You'd have-
But you can't fight a fire with one guy.
Yeah.
But you'd have
Yeah, the guy works 24 hours.
you have to build living quarters.
No, you would have
and
3
those-
shifts.
see that, so that's a whole other thing. Yeah. There's some grants coming up next year, supposedly for FEMA, where we can get some construction for living quarters and that kind of stuff, or for volunteer departments. So, or else, I don't know.
Just put a
Well,
cot upstairs.
we brought in some, in the past down where I worked, we brought a modular building, just, you know, as far as dorms and a kitchen, put a modular building outside, at least for a while.
Yeah, like a construction office,
Yeah.
you know, with a bathroom
Anyway, just stuff to think about for the future. We gotta think about stuff.
So if they take over, does that mean we're basically, they run everything, we have nothing to say with?
So that's
Sounds
what
like
we
you're
have
gonna
to,
do-
that's what I wanna know. I don't know. They,
We wanna know who makes that decision,
And I wanna
that
know
they take
what-
over
yeah,
and.
they haven't done any volunteer departments so far, so it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I didn't want to turn it into a big deal, but I just want to let you know that I invited him. So in January, February, him, Chief Bullock, or else one of his battalion chiefs, plus one of their administrative women from their office are going to come and just say what they can offer us and how it all works. So anyway.
You can always tell them we're sick and we'll have to reschedule.
I'm still looking for the audit for this year.
Sick and they have to reschedule.
Actually, Wheeler's got an auditor that actually might take us on as a small district, and I have talked to the state about extension, and they got all kinds of extensions going on, because we're not the lone stranger on this audit thing, as far as trying to find auditors that'll take us at a reasonable rate, so.
Trying to find anything anymore.
Yeah, and we're not by ourselves in the grants. A lot of departments got this safer grant, and that puts us into an audit. Or if, they gave away over 50 water tenders, I think the state did, plus brush trucks and everything else, puts them all in audit. You know, because of the value of the trucks and stuff. So it was a big move for all the auditors in the state. Anyway, that's oh, the last thing I wanted to add was that Pastor Rick Sherman from the Lookingglass Church took the state's fire chaplain course and has offered to come on board as like a spiritual, when we need it, a spiritual guidance or a initial counselor before the more organized stuff comes in from the state. If some of our people get hurt, or in the past, when Keith Williams was a pastor there at the church, he was actually a volunteer here, and he'd go on calls with us, and half the time the medical aides were his people from his church, you know. So like he would ride in the ambulance down to the hospital with them and be there till the family was there, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things he's interested in offering us, and we're kind of trying to figure out how we're going to use them and how we're going to notify him. And he's going to come January 4th, our first meeting in January, and talk a little bit. We're going to try to get him around here for a while, so everybody gets familiar with him. And when we go on calls and he shows up, people will go, well, you know, who is that? And I think we'll probably get him a wild-in hat and a jacket and says some chaplain on or something, so that the sheriffs know who he is when he shows up and that kind of stuff. So, but I think it'll be a benefit to us.
It's definitely, especially in tragedy.
Right.
Yep, Rick's a good guy.
Okay, that's it.
That's it, you quit? All right, so moving on to old business. A lot of this stuff I'm looking at, old business and new business, you pretty much covered everything. The only thing, the run cards?
He covered that.
Okay.
New system, the new paging system.
This is a whole different, this is kind of associated with that anyway. They've changed, they had us update all the dispatch cards because they switched to computer-aided dispatching, and that has been nobody knows where the cards went because the dispatch isn't dispatching. It's hard to say. So, like our structure fire out here, we're supposed to have 10 miles on their engines, and they got dispatched. But both Winston and District 2 did, so that was nice. We had 2 paid engines coming in. Anyway, Bob Scott is doing that one with me because this turned into another fiasco with the county. So I just kind of gave that one away.
So that's the only other thing on old business.
Yeah,
and
and
new business. The public records request, you talked about BFA guidelines, extension, talked about that, insurance increase.
Yeah, BFA, they extended the deadline. Usually it's December 31st. They moved it back to April of 24 because the funding was delayed until later in the year. Even though we were approved, they didn't have the money till past June, so I was already buying stuff that we were kind of hanging ourselves out on a limb in case the money didn't come through, but it did come through, so.
That's good.
I'm actually gonna, they said we can turn it in early if we want, so I am. We're done, the turnouts are the last thing we're buying, so.
And then, you also mentioned the tax income, you already talked
Yeah,
about that.
it's
That's
come
already
in, we probably have 75% of it for the year already.
All right. In the president's report, I don't have anything to report, but I would like to kind of ask the board here, in talking about raising taxes, we already kind of hit that idea. I mean, I understand the need to create and increase the safety and having people here, but I don't know how your constituents would feel, but I really think that there has to be a way, if we do anything moving forward, we've got to try to find a way to not raise taxes. I know my neighbors and my constituents would be mad if I was on this board and raised the taxes. Would there be an opposition to holding more fundraisers or doing some kind of like barbecues and other things to raise revenue that could maybe help us in some of these additional expenses of labor and stuff like that, that maybe we could be more like communal organized and, you know, have, I don't know,
Bake sales.
I mean, anything. Run a bar, you know, bring a bunch of food trucks out here in the parking lot and have food trucks come out here and, you know, take a piece of the revenue to the fire district. I don't know. I mean,
like I said, how many years ago has it been, Steve, when we had this big
About 8. About 8.
big knockdown, drag out? Our meetings were 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, if I was involved, it would not happen like that. It could not happen like that.
First 6 months I was here, the president walked out 4 times and the secretary walked out twice. The
Yeah.
first 6 months I was here.
you know, I don't think,
This place was packed. You had standing room only.
I have, what you're saying, with this funding from the SAFER grant for the employee we have here, their job is gonna be going out and outreaching in the community, and we're gonna have a presence at the farm market again, have a table down there. The schools asked us to come during their PTA meetings and stuff, say, hey, if you guys wanna have a booth, when we put on the big play tonight, you wanna have a poster by the doors, everybody walks in, says volunteers needed, come on over.
yeah.
And reaching out on the website, and I think we're gonna, as part of his assessment center tomorrow night, that's one of the things, is we have a hypothetical public meeting where they've got a certain age group of men that are here for some reason, and has to develop a plan on how he's gonna turn that meeting into a recruitment thing, not only an education thing, but a recruitment thing for our department and outreach thing. So that's one of the exercises in their assessment center is let's see your ideas on what you got and how we're gonna do
It's gonna
it.
have
So,
to be a little bit of a politician.
huh?
It's gonna have to be a little bit of a politician.
Yeah.
Right.
And marketing. And,
Right.
Yes.
Steve,
It's
did
gonna
you
be
ever
a
check
teacher.
out, did you ever check out, Tyler Smith is over in Sisters or over in that area.
Yeah.
And he was on a grant thing, and that's all he did was go around and get volunteers.
Yeah, it's probably the same grant. The Oregon,
I think he did it for 2 years or something
we
like that.
didn't get a lot of grants here on the West Coast for a long time, and the last few years, I think with Wyden and what's his name? What's the other guys? Our two senators. They're on the committees now where, man, a lot of money has been funneled out here for these grants. I mean, this year, us, Douglas, Glide, and 10 Mile all got this grant. And that's about $2 million worth of employees for the next 4 years for recruitment, retention, training, and all that stuff. For this little area, it's a big deal. I mean, between us and 10 Mile, we have $1 million to try to build this up.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's good.
so.
Well, that was all I just was having this brainstorm. Sometimes that happens.
I think we should get more hats and T-shirts, because it sounds like they're gonna be collector's items anyway.
Yeah.
Do we have a director's report? Anybody? No? That was it. Get more hats. Any public comments? next board meeting is scheduled for January 10th.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Somebody wanna sign these checks?
Sure.
Or just put Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck? My name's on it, that's all.